Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Yalla Salesforce. I'm very excited to be back. Thank you very much for joining us. We will continue our growth journey with Yalla Salesforce Trail Mix. Over the last couple sessions, we started a new journey for Salesforce administrator, understanding more about business process automations and how can we build a smart automation using Flow and Flow Builder. In the last session, we started to dig more into screen flows, understanding different aspects of the screen. And today we will take our experience with the screen flows to the next level by building reactive screen flows. But before we start our module for today, as we usually do, we will start first seeing a demo to understand what do we mean by reactive screen, seeing the art of possible. So when we go back building it together, everything will be already clear for us. So this is the screen that we will be building together. So you will notice that it's like any normal screen flow, but you will notice the difference once we start doing filling the subject, seeing the date, putting this checkbox. You will be able to see how the screen reacts to your different inputs instead of keep clicking next as we used to do with the normal traditional screen flow, which is a guided path. So let's jump to it. So here is a scenario of creating a brand new case. And the moment I am saying I need to create an urgent or I need to cancel an order, the priority will be changed. And as a result of changing the priority, the dates as well will be changed. So let's see it in action. I need to cancel. See, the moment I wrote cancel, it moved from medium to high. And the moment of moving it from medium to high, you will see that this is just a couple days in 10 days. But if I moved to high, it's even making it before that because it has to be fulfilled within 3 days. So we will see how the impact of medium, low, high reflecting on the due date. Also, I have a slider in here, which allow me, even if this time is not possible to fulfill this order cancellation, and I want to give me some bandwidth to fulfill this case, I can use this slider. And the moment I start moving this slider to get more dates, you will be able to see that the due date as well is reflecting. So let's try. So I'm moving it from here, from 0 to 1. You will find that became 25th. One more, became 26. The moment I will take it to beyond 3 and above, it will say, no, you need an approval. So you can't keep pushing the dates without getting your supervisor approval. So we'll be able to see that we are changing the image and the text is displaying. And we are doing a conditional rendering for different display text in here based on this slider value. So what we covered, subject determine the priority, priority determine the date, the slider determine whether I need an approval or not, and I need to cancel my order. Also, it will check, once I check that this, I confirm that the case subject and description contains all necessary, it will make those ones are like disabled or read only. So this is the art of possible, changing the values, making it, changing the conditional display, making it enabled, disabled, and this is what we're gonna build it today. All right, so let's jump back to the module and see what do we have in here. So what is reactivity? Reactivity is the ability of various parts of screens to react to each other. So as we see that we put a subject, it changes the priority, priority changes the dates. All of these are different elements within the same screen that they are reacting to each other, even when they are on the same screen. In the old days, in order to have this such level of automation or reactivity, we have to click next in order to see based on those values I want to do such and such. But now within the same screen, we can automatically do all of that magic. All right, so what the reactivity, why the reactivity is important? Let's say you have a screen flow that allows this person to add product opportunity to their prices. And then if the price is too low, you need to react. So you need a flow to show a warning immediately when the salesperson said the price too low. So without reactivity, you must put price and warning on separate screen. You have to click next. As we mentioned that with the reactive screen, there is no need for the next button as we used to. We can just have this experience within the same screen to react from element to another. So because the price field cannot control visibility of the warning text message, in the old days, you can use a validation rule, but the user still must click next. But now with the reactive screen, you can display a warning approval messages within the same screen as soon the user write the price. All right, so reactive mainly reduce the number of nexts. So let's build this screen flow together. Let's launch our playground and start building this screen flow. What do we need to do? The support department needs a flow that creates a specific type of cases, and here are the requirements. Ask the user this case subject and description and priority and due date. Those are the different inputs that we will be having from the user. Suggest a due date and limit how far the user can stay from this date. Prompt the user to confirm the subject and description, which is exactly the same screen flow we saw together. So let's jump to it. Setup. This is how we build usually a flow or a screen flow. So we'll go in here. Within the setup, I will write flow. And within the flows, I will be creating a brand new screen flow. So I'll go in here, new flow. And what type? I need to build a screen, and it's a screen flow. All right, so what do you need to build? In the screen property, so let's add a screen element, and then we will put the screen property to get case details. All right, so screen, here we go. The screen label is get case details, and this is the API. Now, after that, we need to add a text, and we need to add a long text area for the description. So let's add the text first. All right, so I'll come in here saying text, and the label is subject. And then I will need to have a description as a long text area. Here we go. And the long text area is description. Both of them need to be required fields. So let's go back into the subject, make it required, and within the description, make it required as well. After that, add a radio buttons component to the screen canvas. And this is part of what we learned last time, that we would need to have a choice. So radio button like a pick list and so on. So we need to have a radio button with a pick list choice list. So let's come in here, say I need a radio button. And the radio button label will be the priority. So label, priority, and here we go. Now it's the time for having the choice. So what are the different choice options we have? If you remember, within the choice in here, we have the choice where you can type your things, collection, building by using a get record, or build the collection using any way, and then record choice set where it gives you the option to put the object and put the criteria and so on. And finally, pick list choice set. And this is what we need to pick for this specific reactive script. So pick list choice, it will ask you which object, and it will allow you to put the API for that pick list. Based on the metadata for the pick list, it's gonna retrieve all of these different values and put it on the screen. So let's follow the trail. For label priority, check required, we will do that. New choice, pick list, and the API will be choice priority. Here we go. And the object gonna be the case object. The data type is pick list, and we need to get the priority field. All right, so this is the priority field. Done, we done that. We mentioned as well that this has to be required. So let's pick the required field. So we done all of this great stuff. Now we got the subject, we got the description, we got the priority. Now it's the time for the due date. So I will go in here and we'll add a date component. So date, here we go. We added the date. The label for it is due date. I will make it anything else. Yes, we need to make it a read only. Why? Because we will auto calculate this value later on based on the priority and the slider as we mentioned. All right, so for the read only, I need to come in here and say it's read only due date. Oh, so far so good. Perfect. All right, now I need to add the checkbox to get the confirmation. And in here, I will add the checkbox. The label for it is going to be this one. I confirm that the case subject and description contains all the details I need. And then after that, I will go for the API, and I'll not make it that long. I'll just make it simple confirmation, because we will be using that value to conditionally like enable, disable those fields. So this is the confirmation. We have it because we know the checkbox return either true or false. So this will allow us to build the first step of our smart reactive screen. All right, so let's hit done. Save the flow so far. And from the flow label, new bug case, and let's hit save. Now we saved it. Now let's see what did we achieve so far. We didn't yet implemented any reactive element part of this screen. So you will see in here when I write anything like what I used to write in the final version of the demo, I want to cancel, nothing is happening. But I can still put all of this stuff. I can check the box. I can put the description. The due date is, as you see, that it's a read only. I can't set it, but that's awesome. All right, so this is what we built so far. Now, let's have disable for certain fields reactively. That means without hitting any next. I need, when I check that box, I need to be able to see those fields became inactive. So we want to be sure that user confirmation, final subject, and description. So let's prevent editing subject and description as soon I click that checkbox. All right. So as we just mentioned, now that the checkbox will return a true or false. And as you noticed in here as well, when we wanted to make this read only, we just put a true. So what if we got this value from a checkbox, it will not make any difference than just harden coding it to true. So we can make it dynamic based on the value of this checkbox. All right, so we'll go to the subject and as well the description, and we will make the disabled to be confirmation. Means if it's true, it will be disabled. If it's false, it will be not disabled. All right, so we'll come in here. And within the disabled, I can say just to give me the confirmation value. Same thing in here. With the disabled, I will say give me the confirmation value. That means the moment I check that box, both of them will be disabled true, and then it will be disabled. So let's save it and see it in action. So save it, debugging, and the moment it load in here, I will say run. Then became disabled, now is enabled. True versus false. So far, so good? Lovely, right? So we are now making an element impacting the disabled attribute of that specific element to be true or false. Now we are explaining what is the difference between disabled and read-only. And it's all about the accessibility consideration behind it. Both of them blocking the user from inputting a new value. You will see some display difference between both of them, that this you can't edit, but this is like disabled. But the main difference in here, it has a different look on some components, but it also has different accessibility. Using a tab key, you can navigate between read-only, but not for disabled fields. So keep that in mind. Now, pre-select a picklist value. You remember part of the demo? We mentioned if the subject contains urgent or cancel, now we want to make it high. Otherwise, by default, it's medium. So when we open this next time, when I run again, now, because we don't have any default value, it shows nothing. But once we apply this default value, it's going to be by default on medium. But the moment I put urgent or cancel, it's going to move it to high. So let's build that together. So new bug case, and let's come back in here. In order to do that, we just need to supply the priority with a default value to it. So in here, you will be able to see the default values is empty, but we can build a smart formula that can do that for us. So in here, I can come, say formula, and let's get the formula name, default priority. And it's gonna return either a high or a medium. So it's a text. You are now expert with how to use the formula. You can put resources in here. You can put all the functions. So we are looking for F, and then we will be using for or. So you can use all of these great functions in here available for you. And then you will say in here if the subject, so equals this is specific value, do such and such, and this is gonna construct this value. If the subject and the lower value, so this will give you the flexibility if the user put urgent uppercase, lowercase, mixed case, whatever. So it will allow me standardize the input to say contains urgent or cancel, make it high, otherwise make it medium. So I'll copy this formula in here and I will check the syntax. Now it's valid. Done. And as soon as I go there and say the priority now, it has to take this specific formula as a default value, which called default priority. Now we will see different experience. As soon as I do that and the debug, the default now became medium. And the moment I put urgent or cancel, it's gonna move to high. So now it's medium. And I will say just cancel for now, move to high. All right, so this is what we achieved together. Now, let's calculate a date reactively. So we need to determine what will be the date. So this will be determined based on today's date, and based on the priority, we will determine how many days we need to in order to fulfill. Plus, we will add a brand new element to the screen, which is the slider, allowing me even to adjust the date. So when a support team member create a case, the flow lets them set the due date field to any value, or blocking it, making it read only. So the support team member should base the due date on case priority. Low priority case get 18 days, but medium 10 days, and the high priority only 3 days. Support team can add up to 4 days extra to those timelines in case they need extra time. That's why we're gonna add the slider. So let's go back in here into the flow. We have in here, go to the slider, add the slider before the due date. We're gonna name it as adjust date. And for the label, we will enter adjust due date. Perfect. And the range maximum is gonna be 4. And finally, the slider size. So we have now with a slider 4 now, and the slider size, it can be different, either like the default, or can we make it just medium? We don't need all of this real estate for a slider, so we'll just put a medium. You'll see it's got shortened, and these are all the requirements in here. Now it's the time for creating a new formula, because we need to say we need to calculate this due date based on today's date, plus if the priority is high, make it 3, medium make it 10, low make it 18, and by default it's a medium, so it's plus 10. But take into consideration as well the new slider we just got. So we need to add to it. If the adjust date value, we didn't touch it, that means it's 0 days. But if we start to slide 3-4 days, we need to add this to the formula. Accordingly, this is what we are doing. Today plus priority plus adjust due date. So hit done in here. Create a new resource, create a new formula. And within this new formula, this is the formula. And remember, this will return a date because it's based on today plus multiple days. So the data type has to be date. What is the name for it? It's called default date. So this is the API name. Done. We'll come back in here, go to the due date, and make the default value is the formula we just did it. So we are controlling this reactive screen using either a value in the screen, or we are taking a value from a screen, pass it to a formula, calculate, do the calculation in runtime, return the value to the screen, and this is how we build a very simple reactive screen. All right, so let's see how we ended up now. By default, it's 10 days. So today is August 21st. Now it's August 31st and it's medium. But the moment I gonna change it to low, it will even push it further. The moment I write cancel in here, it's gonna make it high and will make it only 3 days. So you see the subject determine the priority, priority determine the due date. How about I started to use the slider as well? One will become 25th. One more became 26th. And this is exactly what we just built. Finally, I want to say I confirm that everything is done. And this will make it disabled. So far, so good. Everyone is following? Lovely. All right. Now we built an amazing screen reactive flow, controlling the disable for certain elements, doing all the magic based on the subject, determining the priority, and the slider determine what will be the due date. Last piece of our module for today is all about giving the warning in case we are going for 3 and above on the adjusting the date. We will determine whether we are okay without approval or we need to have an approval. So that's why we'll have 2 rich text experience in here, one with a warning and another one with a green light to say, yes, you are good to go. So input validation is essential to protect your data, but it doesn't kick in until user click to leave the screen and hit next. But with the reactive, we can do now conditional visibility based on whatever in the screen. When you add conditional visibility to a component, the flow display the component only when the condition you specify. All right, so now it's the time for adding a display text saying warning approval. Let's go back in here, go in here, and I will need to add it after the slider. I need to add a text. So this is a display text. And the display text API name is warning approval. That's awesome. And now I need to get this emoji to say it's warning. Here we go. What else? I need to make the size to be 48 to just to get the attention. So I will just highlight it and say I needed 48. After that, I need to add this text. So I'll do this and I will say paste and match the style. Now I added this text. It's the time to control the visibility. So it's based on the adjusted due date, the slider value I need to display. So display component, I'll scroll down in here, set component visibility, and I will say and condition. And it's all about adjust due date value greater than or equal 3. Done. Done. So the moment I make this 3 or more, it's gonna be displayed. What else? I need to add another one. If everything is smooth by default, not the input text, I need to add the display text. The moment if everything is smooth, just show me a green emoji and say everything is perfect. So it says green, no approval. This is the one. I'll take the other emoji in here. I'll paste it. Let's be equal experience. So I'll go as well, make it 48. I'll get the text, say doesn't require approval since it's within the time frame. And that's about it. Now we will need to add the conditions. So either it's blank or it's less than 3. So I'll come in here saying display component visibility. And as we mentioned, it's a or condition. I will say adjust due date value less than 3 or the adjust due date value is null equals true. And now we have the full experience. Let's put it in action, save it, debug it, and check. Run. Now, I want to cancel my order. Perfect. Now, as soon as I put cancel, became high. The high made it 3 days. And then the moment I adjust, everything is still good, less than 3. The moment I move to 3, became a warning. The moment I put I confirm, it made it disabled. And now we achieved everything we did. And we saw in the beginning, we achieved that different elements are interacting with each other. We have a reactive or we have a reaction as a result of putting a cancel, pushing the priority to high, adjusting the date, uh, controlling the visibility for two different text display text. Show this one when it's a three or more, show this one when it's less, and then I control even whether those elements are disabled or enabled based on the Boolean received from this confirmation. So far, so good. Any questions? Now, let's verify. And then if everything is as expected, we will wrap it for today and continue our next session with the transform element. All right, so let's see. We made this module together. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. See you next week. Bye-bye.